In 1974, right, Rashad Khalifa, he informs us that this Quran has this 19 base mathematical structure. And much of this structure is based on these 14 sets of Quranic initials that prefix 29 chapters. So, we're all familiar with these. We have the 29 chapters, the corresponding initials. And he informed us that these initials in their respective sets come out to multiples of 19. So, Surah 2, Alif Lam Mim, has 9,899 Alif Lam and Mim, but then the aggregate of all the Alif Lam Mim surahs also is a multiple. You'll see this for all the sets. So, Alif Lam Mim Ra, 1482, 19 times 78, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, 798, which is 19 times 42, Yasin, 285, 19 times 15, and such, right? One of the surahs that gets scrutinized is the last surah of the initial sets, and this is Surah 68, the pen al-Ghalam, NuN. Okay, and Rashad tells us that this surah has 133 NuNs, which is 19 times 7. And the reason is because unlike all the other initials, NuN is spelt out phonetically, nu wow NuN. Okay. And for years, people argued. They said, "Well, that's not how we find it in most the manuscripts. The Uthmani manuscripts, they all spell it with a single noon." Okay. And before addressing this argument, let's just look at some of these the phenomenon around just this initial in the 68. So the fact that NuN is the last Quranic initial produces several notable observations. For example, the number of verses from the first Quranic initial, Alif Lam Mim, Surah 2, verse 1, to the last initial is exactly 5,263. So that's the number of verses, which is 19 times 277, right? If we included 9, 128, 129, we'd be off by 2, or actually off by 17. The word Allah occurs 2,641 times between the first initial, right? So again, in Surah 2, verse 1, to the last initial, Surah 68, verse 1. Now, what else is interesting is some people say, well, why don't you count all of Surah 68? Surah 68 actually doesn't have the word Allah in it. So irrespective, you include Surah 68 or you stop at 68.1, right? You still end up getting 2,641 inclusive, which is 19 times 139, meaning all the Allahs outside of the initials is 5719 times 3, right? And it says, and there's another thing, sign in Surah 68. So in Surah 68, the only messenger that is referenced is Jonah. But it doesn't use his name. It says, "You shall steadfastly persevere in carrying out the commands of your Lord. Do not be like Jonah, who called from inside the fish." And when we look at this, right, this expression towards Jonah, we notice that in 2187, it uses this weird kind of expression for Jonah. It literally means Zanun is the possessor of the N. Okay, and it spells out Noon as Nu Wow Noon. So all this is showing us kind of a sign that, okay, this initial should be spelt out phonetically as Nu Wow Noon, right? For years, we've been looking to say, okay, can we find a manuscript that spells it Nu Wow Noon? Recently, there was a professor, so he's a Harvard professor. His name is Shadi Nasser. This guy is the world expert in the variant readings of the Quran, okay? He recently launched this website. Okay. This website, basically, you can go to any chapter of the Quran, okay? Anything that's grayed out. If you click it, it will give you all the variant readings for that word. So we were looking at this the other day. So if you look, Sarat, this is past, Sarat al-Ladina namta alayhim, right? It can be, there's some variants that write it with a sin, okay? And then some that even use a synonym, which is Sabil, okay? And you'll see it basically anywhere you click, you'll see that basically it shows the variant readings that are within the various manuscripts and documents about how the different people recited, any word or verse of the Quran. Now, for those who aren't familiar, right, we're all very, how do you put it, up to speed with the Hafs recitation of the Quran. This is the most predominant recitation of the Quran. And the reason is because Al-Azhar University in 1924, they published the basically the, how do you put it, authorized contextual canon of the Quran with the specific spellings and tajweed based on the Hafs recitation. Okay, but in reality, there's about 20 different recitations that are 14 of which are accepted. They say, hey, these are accepted recitations. 6 of them, again, they're known. They're just not as prolific. And then multitude of these one-off recitations that we're familiar with. And there's a bunch of these. So this professor, what he's aiming to do is to show all the variations that he's discovered in the recitation with its corresponding sources. Okay. If we go to Surah 68, we click on NuN. So we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, NuN wal Ghalam, right? N and the pen, okay? And we click NuN. We see here that there's 5 different recitations for the word NuN. So we see NuN wal Ghalam, okay? NuN, and you see there's a shadda on top of the wow, right? NuN wal Ghalam, right? NuN by the pen. And then you'll see NuNi, NuNa, NuNu, right? NuN wal NuN.
Mr. Peter, I'm not seeing it.
It's on the right. I can see it. I can see it just fine. It's on the right. There's 2 red, purple, and then 2 green. It's on the right, Mr. AAA. I can see it just fine. It's fine. It's totally good. I don't. Maybe right. AAA is not.
Yeah, AAA, get your eyes fixed. Come on.
I'm trying.
It's on the right side of the.
It's on the right
side
of the screen. I can see it just fine. I can see your mouse moving and everything. You know,
now I see it.
It's just fine.
All right, so now we're going to see these variations, okay? And if you go here, it's going to tell you all the variations, the transliteration, but then it has the annotation. So this is where this came from. So if we look, there's 6 different transmitters who recited it as Nu Wal Nun. Okay? And so if you look, these aren't nobodies. Like Ibn Abbas is a very prominent contemporary, right? Hey, Ibrahim, do you mind muting, my friend?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, so if you look, Ibn Abbas, right, is a very prominent, which he's considered the most knowledgeable of the Quran, right? Ibn Abi Ishaq, right, another early, well-respected person, Sayyid bin Jubair, right? So these aren't just nobodies. So now he has this source. He says, Mukhtasar, right, page 159. By God's leave, I was able to find the original source. And what's fascinating, praise God, God bless Yusuf for helping with this. Not only did we find the original source for this reference, okay? What's interesting is in the republication of this source, they eliminated the spelling of Nu Wal Nun. So if you go pick up a modern printing of this manuscript, they will spell it just with a single nun. But if you go to the original, I'll show you here. This is spelled Nu Wal Nun. So this is the manuscript, okay? A little tough to see, but here is Surat NuN, right? And then we have here Nu Wal Nun Wa Qalam, and then it talks about the assimilation of pronouncing the ha in the recitation. But you can see here, Nu Wal Nun Wa Qalam. Okay, this book is the treatise. I'll tell you. So it's a treatise of variant readings of the Quran. Here, and we can. I'll show you guys the actual thing, so you know I'm not making this stuff up. So this is Chester Beatty Library digital manuscript. Okay, and we can see right here. So this discusses the various readings of the Quran. Okay, so we see Nu Wal Nun Wal Ghalam. And then it basically gives the instructions as far as the tajweed for its recitation. But here, I mean, look, Nu Wal Nun. And if you look, Al Nu Wal Nun, right? So twice, it's basically saying when it's recited, it's spelling it out as Nu Wal Nun. It's not spelling it out just as a single nun. But then we have more. If you look here, there's commentary, okay? What does this commentary say? This commentary here, I got, go back. A zoom in, right? It tells us NuN and the pen by Ibn Abbas, Ibn Abi Ishaq, Abu al-Samad, and Nuna Sayyid Jubair. So we have here basically saying that in their recitation, they had it spelt out and recited as Nu Wow Nun. And then that's basically the conclusion. So we have it, right? That, yeah, in the canonical readings of the Quran, they have it spelt with Nun. But in these variant readings of the Quran by very prominent transmitters, it's actually spelt out as Nu Wow Nun.
That's good.
That's wonderful. Praise God. Very good work,
Mashallah,
Peter.
brother. That was awesome, brother.
Please someone tell me they recorded that.
Mashallah.
Praise
Mashallah.
God,
God
brother.
bless you.
God be glorified. That is an amazing blessing. Wow. Wow.
I'm gonna put it
SubhanAllah,
into
that's
the.
awesome.
I put it. I just published it. You guys can
The
verify.
article
Look at
was
it,
put
verify
in.
it.
The article's in VC1-chat.
So, can I go and like brag to all the Sunnis that it's been found?
Yes. Yes, you have bragging rights at
So,
this
so
point.
there's. Yeah, here's the rub, right? The response back is going to be like, hey guys, this is just the recitation. It's not about the actual manuscript. But nevertheless, this is to date, as far as I know, right, the strongest indication that yes, in the earliest written forms, right, it was spelt out as Nu Wal Nun, because in Arabic you have short vowels, which is the tashkil, and then you have the long vowels. If this was strictly just a vowel marking thing, right, you wouldn't have it written out with the long vowel of the Nun Wal Nun.
That's
So
very good.
it was the I thought it was a manuscript, right? That I don't know how that one dates compared to other ones that had the wasn't it a Quran that had that?
But we have the one we have, right? This is a very famous manuscript. He's a famous calligraphist. His name is it's a Mus'haf of Ibn al-Bawab. Okay, and in it, this is the closest thing that up until this point that I could find is this. And what's fascinating is, there we go. Oh, God bless. Thanks, Navi. You can see here, right? It has it spelt out NuN, and then there's the Doma, wow, and then he has the second NuN written in red. This is typically written in for pronunciation and vowel markings, but nevertheless, it shows that it's like Nu Wow Nun. But the argument here is like no, this is written in red. This is just for recitation. It's not part of the Mus'haf. What else is funny is this page. So that we have the entire book of this this calligraphist Quran. It's from the 1400s. Sorry, so the 1300s. There was a recent book that was written. It was talking about the Quranic manuscripts, and out of all the 600 plus pages of all the thousands of manuscripts, you know which one they put on the cover? This one. Like, I just found that fascinating.
SubhanAllah.
They basically picked this page on this cover. I gotta find that book. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, no way.
Praise be to God.
Wait, you told me which they put the first page of the chapter 68 on the cover?
Yeah, it's in the chat. It's in the chat.
That's so funny.
There was a book written like the other year, right? And basically it was about Quranic manuscripts. And out of all the images and folios, we're talking about like there's like tens of thousands. If you go into the 1300s, you're talking about hundreds of thousands that he could choose from. He not only chose this calligraphist, right? Which is okay. He's like, well, renowned. That's not the surprise, but he picked this page to put onto the cover. I thought that was interesting.
Before we continue, I just need to make a quick announcement. Sister Joy is making time out of her day to hold an event in 25 minutes, and that's a Discord help session. And honestly, this is a wonderful session. She's a great teacher. She's really patient, kind, friendly, and she's going to walk anyone who wants help through how to navigate Discord and navigate on the submission server. That event link has been shared in VC1-chat. It's starting in about 25 minutes in VC2. I highly recommend anyone who wants to learn about Discord and how you can participate or use this app